Thank you so much. Am I audible? Yes, I am. Hope you're having a good day. I think my predecessor was just awesome, and it's a tall order to match up to his whatever he's done. Mr. Roy, wherever you are, I'm so impressed. So impressive. Thanks so much, and what a beautiful collection of talent and pool of ideas, resources, and just so much to learn for you students. When I was a student, we didn't have a thing like TED Talks, but now that you do have, you must make use of it. So let's begin. Any occupation that requires constant efforts, listen to this very carefully, any occupation that requires constant efforts rewards a person with faith in his own abilities. I repeat, any occupation that requires constant efforts rewards a person with faith in his own abilities. Cinema is one such occupation. It tests its admirers, it tests its creators, and also its followers. I'm Atikqa Farooqi, and I'm here at Hyderabad at TEDx, and I will speak about something very close to your heart, and that is cinema. Growing up in an army cantonment, in Meerut cantonment, I saw this often written all over on the walls, and most soldiers or kids of soldiers would vouch for this. It would be written on the walls, "Aaj muqabla hoga." Basically, to keep them ready for a war at any point in the day. And this was written on the walls of Meerut cantonment too. When I was growing up, I saw this 100 times over. A career in cinema is no less than this. Every Friday, aaj muqabla hoga. Careers are made and careers are ruined. Also, minds are saved and minds are ruined. The ones watching them, I mean. The challenges of cinema is to take life and this field with a pinch of salt. I wrote a poem, "तू इंसान है दरख्त नहीं, तू क्यों खड़ा चौराहों पे, तू सब्र नहीं, तू मौज है, किनारा कर किनारों से, धूप ले तू बालों पर, छाँव की है फिक्र किसे, पैरों को तराश कर सफ़र के नक्श पे ढाल दे, जो बीत गया वो भूल जा, लिखा था वो नसीब में, किसे है सब मिला और कब तू हर खलिश निकाल दे, तू आसमां का शुक्र कर, समंदरों से बात कर, ज़मीं को लेके हाथ में तू अब हवा के साथ चल, तू इंसान है दरख्त नहीं, तू क्यों खड़ा चौराहों पे." The only way to live life and the only way to have a career in cinema is never stay stagnant or in one place or be in just one form or in one thought process, because it's a ever evolving and ever changing medium of entertainment, and that is what I have seen. What you see in cinema can sometimes bedazzle you, but a suggestion to everybody who's a creator or watcher of cinema is not be bedazzled by what you see. As someone who has seen movies being made from script to celluloid, this is a lot. There is a lot that goes into it that you might not know of. Some of it is passion and skill, but most of it is also business and bills. I tell all cinema lovers, when you watch a movie, take the best and leave the rest. It's important to be mindful of what you're absorbing in the name of entertainment. As cinema is not just entertainment, no, not at all. It's a mirror, a megaphone, a mischief maker, and sometimes a matchstick that lights up change, good and bad, both. My topic, cinema and society. The stories we tell, the changes we see. So buckle up, we're going to talk about a lot. Heroes, villains, and everything in between. Now, I have spent over 2 decades in this dazzling but a very chaotic industry, rubbing shoulders with stars day in and day out, often grilling them on camera, dissecting films, watching them, watching web series, thousands of them, until my eyes would beg for mercy. I have probably watched more movies than I've had cups of chai in my entire life, thousands of them. And trust me, what I have learned is cinema isn't just popcorn and songs. It's a conversation between us and the world that we live in. Let's start with a man whose words have always stuck with me. Javed Akhtar, the poet, the legend. In 2006, I was in Star Network, young, just out of Delhi theatre, joined Star Mumbai in 2003. On the 5th day of Mumbai floods, I did a show called Life Goes On Despite Misery. And I saw my phone and I saw Javed Akhtar calling. I was very young back then and I was completely enamored. I hadn't shot with him ever, but somehow we were connected on phone. And he called me and he congratulated me on my vision and the ability to differentiate between the difference between giving up and letting go. I repeat, it's a very important phrase or concept or just something, a life philosophy, giving up and letting go. He loved the fine line between the two ideologies. Since then, we've been close and friendly, and I must say I have learned a lot from him. He said once that cinema is an edited reality. Listen closely. He says cinema is an edited reality. Think about that. It's not just a story, it's our story, polished and packaged and edited and thrown back at us. Look at Indian cinema's journey. In the 1940s, we had Devdas, a man so trapped by feudal chains, he could only destroy himself. कौन कम वक्त बर्दाश्त करने को पीता है, हम तो पीते हैं ताकि तुम्हें बर्दाश्त कर सकें. Glorious self-destruction was the vibe back then. Fast forward to the Nehruvian era, rebellion. Heroes telling their parents, मैं आपके पैसे का मोहताज नहीं और मेरा प्यार ही मेरी बंदगी है. In a Raj Kapoor film, a father says to his daughter's lover, गरीबी एक अभिशाप है जिससे निकलना हम सब का फर्ज है. But the avara would not care any less. Then came the 70s and oh boy, the angry young man. Think Amitabh Bachchan, of course. मैं उस अभागन शांति का बेटा हूँ, मिस्टर गुप्ता, और आप मेरे नाजायज बाप हैं. A vigilante born from a society losing faith in its systems, relationships. क्या आप आज अपने बाप को इस तरह बोल सकते हैं? नहीं. So society has a deep impact on the way we behave. In the 80s when 18 crore people joined the middle class, the cinema got louder and brasher. Think Sarkai lo khatiya jada lage. It was a party and no one wanted to hear about the starving farmers or the poor people. Yes, there was Sham Benegal and Shabana Azmi and Nasiruddin Shah and Om Puri doing their bit, but they didn't make too much money as those ones. Then our heroes jet off to Switzerland, living in palatial homes. In Chandni, do you know what Rishi Kapoor did professionally? Do you have any idea? Anybody? You would not know. In DDLJ, what did Anupam Kher and his son, Shah Rukh Khan, that is Rahul, do professionally? What business? You would not know because the filmmakers didn't care to tell you. That was escapist cinema at best. Today though, I see a shift. The younger generation, your kids, maybe yourself, want depth. Films like 12th Fail and Kantara's success proves it. At least it's a mix. Society is asking for more and cinema is listening and taking risks, and some are definitely paying off. Now let's talk impact. Cinema doesn't just reflect, it does influence. Martin Scorsese once said, movies touch our hearts and awaken our vision. They change how we see the world. Remember Rang De Basanti? It didn't just entertain, it lit a spark. We came on the roads, we hit the streets, candles in the hand, giving rise to something called citizen journalism, demanding justice. Or take Tare Zameen Par, suddenly we were all talking about dyslexia, about kids who don't fit the mold. And Three Idiots, काबिल बनो, कामयाबी झक मार के तुम्हारे पीछे दौड़ेगी. That's the power of cinema. Spielberg puts it best. Every viewer brings their own baggage to a film and together we create something bigger than what is on screen. But here's where it gets messy. Cinema can inspire crime too. Remember the horror movie Scream? You all would have watched it at least once in your lifetime. The horror movie Scream had this impact. In France, a teenager wore a ghost face mask to kill his friend. In California, two cousins stabbed their mother 45 times. There were multiple crimes inspired by this one film alone. The film Fight Club inspired a 17-year-old to attempt bombing a Starbucks in New York City. He believed in the movie's anti-corporate themes and wanted to start a Project Mayhem campaign. Special 26 inspired a guy to pose as a CBI officer and extort cash. True story. And yet crime inspires cinema right back. Think of Talwar, wrestling with the Arushi case, or gangs of Wasipur, born from Dhanbad's coal mafia. It's a wild loop, isn't it? Society feeds cinema and cinema feeds society, and sometimes it's hard to tell who started the fire, and both say we didn't start the fire, but it was always burning since the world was turning. The Supreme Court of India has made several judgments that highlight the role of cinema on society. In a judgment, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of film censorship under Article 19 of the Constitution. It noted that films have a unique capacity to disturb and arouse feelings, making them different from other forms of art. In another judgment, the Delhi High Court allowed the release of a film, emphasizing that artistic freedom should be favored and that viewers have the choice not to watch if offended. Kerala High Court questioned whether films merely reflect societal violence or sometimes even glorify it, emphasizing the need to balance freedom of expression with public morality. These judgments reflect the court's recognition of cinema's impact on society and its role in balancing artistic freedom with social responsibility. PM Nehru once had said that influence in India of films is greater than newspapers and books combined. Remember, too much violence, like Javed Sahab warns, can numb people, or worse, inspire them. Hence, balance matters. But Samuel Goldwyn, legendary Hollywood producer and one of founding figures of America's film industry, said, "Pictures are for entertainment. Messages should be delivered by Western Union." Shayad Anurag Kashyap bhi kuch aisa hi kehte hain when he said, and to me also he said in my show and several other times he said that हिंदुस्तान में लोगों की परेशानी ये है कि वो स्कूल जाते हैं मस्ती करने, मज़ा करने, और सिनेमा हॉल्स जाते हैं ये उम्मीद करने कि हम कुछ सीख कर आएंगे. That role reversal is problematic. Let me take you back to my childhood. My father was a senior government officer, mother was a homemaker, and me and my younger sister were taken to watch a movie, Damini, in 1993, and Tejaswini in 1994. Damini showcased a gang rape of a poor girl and then her further vilification. A homemaker, Meenakshi Shishadri, stood by her. Middle-aged romance between a couple, the woman wore a sari and her husband said, "Gawah hain chand tare, gawah hain tere mere milan ke." Next film, Tejaswini, was a cop who rose in a system of corrupt political system. I could not sleep for days and weeks. Remember the song, "Bankar Andhi Tufani Ladti Ja Zulm Se Mardani"? These two films were landmark films when we speak about women empowerment in the 1990s, and had the same impact, similar impact with many women, and I can speak for myself that I became Atika Farooqi that I am because of these two films, trust me. Now, setting an example that without taking shortcuts and being a bit idealistic, you can make it big. Of course you can, without taking any shortcuts in your career. I'm making mainstream television conversations with the likes of Dilip Kumar and Mr. Bachchan and Khans, politicians and bureaucrats, and those whose voices matter, to build a universe and ecosystem that favors the ones who cannot speak for themselves and who are proponents of a modern, liberal and an inclusive world. I have learnt a lot of this from the cinema that I have watched, because I trained myself to be discreet about what I am watching and not absorb everything that I saw on screen. There is a poem of mine that I had written for women in continuation of the female-oriented subjects and movies that I watched. It says, "औरतों को खिलने के लिए एक खास मौसम चाहिए, औरतों को खिलने के लिए एक खास मौसम चाहिए, बेखौफ सड़कें, आसान रिश्ते, अच्छे दोस्त." औरतों को खिलने के लिए एक खास मौसम चाहिए, बेखौफ सड़कें, आसान रिश्ते, अच्छे दोस्त, ये मिल जाएं तो खुशियाँ दिल से आ लगेंगी, जो मैं दफ्तर देखूं तुम भी घर देखना, जो मैं दफ्तर देखूं तुम भी घर देखना, तुझको मेरी दुआ लगेगी, मुझको तेरी दुआ लगेगी. So this is something, thank you. This is something I learned from cinema. and also from other women that I chose to spend time with, like Kiran Bedi and Shabana Azmi and so many other women who are doing great work, especially in cinema, because that is my domain. I acted in theatre plays and on OTT platforms. Try to not do anything on air or on screen which will set a wrong example. That is my bit. And I implore all of you to do the same thing, because whatever you do here in this part of the world is bound to have an impact there on the other part of the world, and cinema is a big example of that. Now let's talk kids. Inside Out teaches children emotions, anger, joy, sadness. Finding Nemo shows them resilience. In India, a film called Gattu, a boy dreaming of kite-flying glory, tells kids to chase their dreams. And no matter how small they seem, cinema is a teacher, a friend, a window to worlds they'll never visit, but it's not all that rosy too. And now, who loves sports here? Let's talk about the films and the connection of films with sports. From Chak De India, which inspired a new generation of women's hockey players while shedding light on gender bias, to Dangal, where Mari Choriyan Choron Se Kam Hai Ke, it started the real Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao Andolan. Sports films have shaped our world in powerful ways. Bhag Milkha Bhag reignited interest in athletics, Mary Kom pushed women into combat sports, and Jhund with Mr. Bachchan under Nagaraj Manjule's direction spotlighted grassroots sports. Pan Singh Tomar, Saina and Rocky, a cultural, let's talk about Rocky. Rocky was a cultural phenomenon that made millions pick up boxing. Stand tall in this legacy. Globally, remember, the Titans tackled racial integration through football. Rudy and coach Carter championed discipline and perseverance, while $1 Million Baby, which was an Oscar awardee, and The Blind Side showcased how sports can change lives. Ford and Ferrari put motorsports history back in the limelight. The Karate Kid made martial arts mainstream, and Invictus showed how Nelson Mandela used rugby to unite the whole nation. And then there is King Richard, where a father told his daughters, Mari Choriyan Choron Se Kam Hai Ke. And that was Will Smith that we are talking about. He may have had a forgettable moment on stage at the Oscars, but what he did in the film was the Hollywood version of Mari Choriyan Choron Se Kam Hai Ke, which is inspire the entire world with the narrative of Beti Padhao and Beti Bachao. And then there is OTT. We all love platforms like JioStar, Netflix, Amazon Prime. By the way, just a shameless plug-in, you can watch a lot of my shows on JioStar and YouTube. Anyway, I try to break the mold, no more 3-hour formulas. You get Jai Bhim in Tamil, tackling caste issues, or the white tiger slicing through class, stories that wouldn't fit the old Bollywood box. It's freedom, it's diversity. It's a global stage. Language barriers in modern day world on OTT platforms, none, gone. A kid in Mumbai can cry over a Korean film and vice versa. And never forget Manumal Boys, based on a true story in Kodaikanal, Tamil Nadu, that teaches human survival instincts, the power of friendship and the risks of adventure tourism. And Lapata Ladies, of course, where women are actually served with solutions in a gender dynamics in the world. So what's next? I say it's up to us, filmmakers, yes, but also you, the ones who are watching. As Francis Ford Coppola had said, making great movies is a risk. You play all your cards in one project. I have seen it firsthand. I have seen Mr. Bachchan pouring his heart in the film Pink. I've sat with directors pitching wild ideas like Rishabh Shetty of Kantara and Imtiaz Ali and so many more. It's a gamble, but when it works like RRR or Bahubali, dancing its way to an Oscar or 2,000 crore film, or Andhadhun twisting us into knots, it's magic. Society needs to demand that magic. Ask for stories that challenge and that heal and that unite. Ask for good movies because they are your gift to your children. I'd leave you with this, and it's a small thing that I expect you to do is that be discreet while buying that ticket of yours. Whenever you go to the box office on a Friday and the movie that you are kind of buying the tickets to is your vote for it. Yes, it's your vote for what the movie is trying to say. You subscribe to the idea. You glamorize and popularize and legitimize the idea that the film is talking about. Remember how rape scenes were on the posters of films in 60s and 70s. Once women started earning and having a stake in the box office collections, it stopped. If there is something reckless, just to reject it outright. Like movies so full of jargon that cause discontentment and fight in the society, reject them. Tread very carefully there. Entertainment is an art, not just a circus. From Devdas to Dangal, from Scream to Stree, it's our mirror. Speak about us. It speaks highly about the people who are watching. We deserve the films because films reflect who we are. So we deserve good films and not bad films. Once on a flight to Spain, a white man had asked me, why do Indians like to cry so much in the name of entertainment? Well, I'm still trying to figure out the answer to tell him. If you have the answer, you must tell me too, that why do we like to cry so much in the name of entertainment? So I would tell you that whenever a film is trying to tell you something, watch closely, listen closely, and ask, what is it asking you to change? Because the stories we tell today are the changes we see tomorrow. As I said in a poem, हम सूखे दरख्त नहीं, गुलाब हैं, दिन चढ़ेगा तो फिर से खिल जाएंगे. माफ़ कर देंगे मगर याद रखेंगे और तुमसे जो बिछड़े तो खुद से मिल जाएंगे. थैंक यू एंड जय हिंद.